it started with a look. No words, no touch. Just that single, impossible look across the boardroom table. Suddenly, I wasn't thinking about the budget presentation anymore. I was thinking about him, Mr. Leo Cruz, my boss. He was everything a man shouldn't be allowed to be. Tall, commanding, with a voice like slow bourbon and eyes that could strip you bare without moving a muscle. He was 42, divorced, no kids, no distractions, completely focused. And lately, it seemed focused on me. My name's Aaron Carter. I'm 30, and I've been his assistant for a year. At first, I thought the job would be temporary, just a stepping stone. But then, I started looking forward to seeing him, to hearing his voice behind me, to the way his hand would brush the small of my back when he passed by. Always accidental, always deliberate. The problem? I wasn't sure what this was. How do you even ask your boss if he's imagining you without a shirt? So I stayed quiet. Pretended I didn't notice the extra seconds his eyes lingered on my mouth. Or how every time I handed him a document, his fingers would just barely graze mine. It wasn't proof of anything, but it was impossible to ignore. And then came that night. Late. The office was empty, just him and me. I was finishing an internal report when he walked over. Shirt sleeves rolled up, tie loosened, glass of whiskey in hand. He leaned over my chair, close enough that I felt the heat of him. "You work too hard, Aaron." My throat tightened. I laughed awkwardly. "Yeah, well, someone's got to keep this place running." He didn't laugh. He walked behind me, placing a hand on my shoulder. Firm, warm, heavy. "Do you ever let anyone take care of you?" I froze. That wasn't business talk. That wasn't professional. That was something else, and yet I didn't move. I didn't want to. His finger slid slowly from my shoulder down the middle of my back. Lower. He didn't say a word. Just that hand resting right above the waistband of my pants. And me? I let him. Not out of fear, but because for the first time in a long time I wanted this. I wanted to be touched. I wanted to be seen. He wasn't looking at my resume anymore. He was looking at me. His hand stayed there, heavy, warm, unapologetic, resting just above the back of my waistband. I didn't breathe. I didn't speak, because I was terrified that even a single word might break the moment. "Aaron," he whispered, right behind my ear. "Tell me to stop." My lips parted, but nothing came out. What was I supposed to say? That I'd imagined this 100 times? That I'd played this exact scene in bed at night? That I'd wanted to feel his hands on me, not just on my paperwork? So no, I didn't stop him. I stood slowly, turning to face him. The room was quiet, except for the low hum of the city outside the 18th floor windows. His tie hung loose. His chest rose and fell in slow, deliberate rhythm. His eyes searched mine, as if he were still waiting for permission. "Are you sure?" he asked. I didn't nod. I didn't speak. I just reached up and unbuttoned the top of his shirt. That was all he needed. He stepped closer, wrapping his arms around my waist, pulling me into him. Closer than we'd ever been. I could feel the warmth of him through our shirts, his breath brushing against my jaw. And then, he kissed me, not soft, not hesitant. It was like he'd been holding it in for far too long, like tonight was the last chance he'd ever get to feel this. Like he needed me. My hands gripped his arms, trying to steady myself. Because the truth? I'd never been kissed like that. Not by someone older. Not by someone who knew exactly what they wanted. He guided me backwards toward the small couch in the corner of his office. Still kissing. Still holding me as if nothing else in the world existed. By the time my back touched the cushions, he was already there, close, in control. Not rushing. Not fumbling, just, "Sure. I've wanted this for too long," he whispered, his hand brushing against my chest. "But I didn't think you'd ever let me." I swallowed hard. My heart was racing. I didn't think I'd ever want this. But I whispered back anyway. He smiled faintly and moved closer, and in that moment, it wasn't even about the physical. It was about being seen. Being wanted. Feeling like I mattered, not just someone who scheduled meetings and answered emails. With every moment, every brush of his hand, I felt recognized, desired, alive. That night didn't feel real. It wasn't about rules or titles. It was about two people letting everything they'd been hiding spill out in one long, breathless night. Even in the heat of it all, a question lingered in my mind. What happens when the sun comes up? Will he still look at me the same way? Will I still look at myself the same way? Because deep down, I knew what we shared crossed a line. There was no going back. The sun hadn't even risen yet when I opened my eyes. The office was quiet, the low hum of the city outside unchanged, but somehow it felt colder, emptier. Leo wasn't next to me anymore. I sat up slowly on the couch, my shirt half-buttoned, hair a mess, lips still tingling from everything that had happened. My body felt strange, heavy, alive, and confused all at once. I looked around expecting him to be nearby. But he wasn't. His jacket was gone, his glass of whiskey empty. And just like that, the warmth of the night before started to fade, replaced by a slow, creeping sense of panic. What had I done? I stood up, straightened my clothes, ran a hand through my hair, and tried to breathe. I wasn't just some random person he'd met. I was his assistant, his employee. And last night I let him take control of everything. My thoughts, my emotions, my sense of right and wrong, and the truth that scared me most. I liked it. Was it a mistake? Or was it something real? I didn't get the chance to figure it out, because just then the elevator doors opened and there he was. Leo Cruz, my boss. He walked in like it was any other Monday. Suit perfect. Tie in place? That same unreadable look on his face. For a second, neither of us spoke. We just stared at each other. But in his eyes, I saw something. A flicker of hesitation. Maybe guilt. Maybe fear. Mourning, he said quietly. Mourning, I replied, doing my best to hold it together. Neither of us mentioned what happened. We didn't dare say, I liked it. Or what now? Because we both knew nothing would ever be the same. The day dragged on like a blur. We kept up appearances, emails, meetings, small talk, all while pretending nothing had changed. But every time our eyes met across the room, it hit me again. The tension, the unspoken pull, the memory of the way he'd looked at me, like I was more than just someone sitting behind a desk. And then, around 4 p.m., a message popped up on my screen. Come to my office. Now. My stomach turned. My pulse quickened. I stood and walked down the hall, each step heavier than the last. When I stepped in, he didn't say a word at first. He just closed the door behind me, leaned against it, and took a deep breath. Aaron, he said finally, his voice low and rough. About last night. I can't stop thinking about it. I froze. I know it was reckless, he continued. I know it crossed a line. But if you regret it, if you hate me for it, I need you to say it now. My heart pounded so loud it drowned out everything else. I don't hate you, I said softly. I can't. His eyes darkened like a storm gathering behind them. Then why are you looking at me like I'm a stranger today? He asked. Because I don't know what this is, I blurted out. Was it just one night? Or are we both lying to ourselves about something we actually want? Silence filled the room, thick, electric, and dangerous. Then he walked over to me, slow, deliberate. And for the second time in 2 days, he kissed me. Slower this time, softer. Not because he was unsure, but because it wasn't just about desire anymore. It was about the feelings neither of us wanted to admit. That second kiss was different, careful, controlled, like he didn't want to scare me away. And somehow that made it even more dangerous. It meant he was thinking about me. When he pulled back, his hand stayed on my face, thumb brushing my cheekbone. He didn't speak for a long moment. Then he whispered, I haven't felt this way in years. My breath caught, not just because of what he said, but how he said it. Like wanting me was something he didn't expect and couldn't stop. I don't just want your attention, Aaron, he said softly. I want your trust, your time. All of you. I should have pulled away. Reminded him of work, boundaries, consequences. But I didn't. Instead, I leaned closer, heart racing, eyes locked with his, and asked, "So, what now?" He looked at me, steady, unshakable. "Now, you come to my place tonight." My knees almost buckled. His tone was firm, certain, like he had already made up his mind. That night, I stood outside his high-rise condo, heart pounding. This wasn't just about closeness anymore. It was about trust. I was stepping into his world, and I didn't know if I was ready. The door opened, and there he was, out of his suit, calm but still intense. He let me in without a word. I walked past the modern furniture, the leather couches, the dim lighting, but barely noticed any of it, because the second the door clicked shut, he turned me toward him. "Relax," he whispered, his hands brushing mine. I obeyed, not out of fear, but because I wanted to be near him. There was something about the way he held me. Not rushing. Not desperate. Just careful, deliberate, like he wanted to memorize every detail, not to possess, but to understand. We stayed close, whispering nothing, just feeling everything. Every glance, every gentle touch, every heartbeat said more than words ever could. And when he finally rested his forehead against mine, he whispered, "I don't want to hide this anymore." I realized then, chest pounding, that falling for him wasn't just dangerous. It was inevitable, and maybe, just maybe, worth every risk. I didn't sleep at all that night. Even after everything, after the way he kissed me, held me, touched my soul, I still couldn't close my eyes. Because the moment I did, reality came crashing back. This wasn't just a moment anymore. Leo had reached deeper than I ever thought possible. He made it feel like more than attraction, like it was us, like I belonged to something I didn't fully understand. But what did it really mean? By morning, I slipped out of his bed before he woke. His arm was draped over my waist, his body still warm beside me. But I carefully slid away, got dressed, and left without a word. I couldn't face him, not yet. Back at my apartment, everything felt wrong. My bed too cold, my space too small, my chest too heavy. Because now I had to decide, was I going to keep letting this happen? Keep letting my boss pull me in deeper? Or was I strong enough to walk away before it destroyed me? He messaged me around noon. Lunch, my office. "You pick the place." I didn't reply, not because I was angry, but because I didn't trust myself to say no if I saw him. I needed distance, but Leo Cruz wasn't the kind of man who accepted silence. At 3 p.m., he walked into my workspace. No warning, no expression. Just stood there, arms crossed, jaw tight. I looked up at him, heart pounding. "I need some space," I said quietly. "You didn't seem to need space last night," he said, his tone sharp. I stood, trying to keep calm. "Last night was a mistake," I whispered. He flinched, barely, but I saw it. "Don't do that," he said softly. "Don't pretend it meant nothing." "I saw the way you looked at me, and I meant it," I said. "But I can't keep doing this." "You're my boss, Leo." He stepped closer. "Do you regret it?" I hesitated. "No, but I regret what it means." His jaw tightened. "What does it mean, Aaron?" "It means I can't be just another name on your list," I said quietly. "I can't keep giving you pieces of myself without knowing where this is going." Silence. A long, heavy silence. Then he stepped back, his voice lower. "I don't want anyone else," he said. "But I can't promise this will be easy." "I know," I said. "That's why I'm walking away now, while I still can." And I did. I walked out of his office, past his desk, through the hallway, heart shattered, legs shaking. I didn't look back, but every step away from him felt like a lie. Because deep down, I didn't want to leave. I wanted him to stop me. That night, I sat alone on my couch, staring at the ceiling. All I could think about was the way he looked at me, the sound of his voice in the dark, the quiet warmth in his touch. I wanted to forget him, but I couldn't, because he hadn't just reached for my hand. He'd reached for something deeper, something I didn't know could be touched. A week passed. 7 full days. 7 long, aching nights. No texts, no calls. Not a single word from Leo. At first, I was proud of myself for walking away, for drawing a line. But by night 3, I was staring at my phone hoping it would light up. By night 5, I was dreaming about him, dreams that left me restless and alone. And by night 7, I was crumbling. I told myself he'd moved on, that maybe I was just another moment he'd lived and left behind. But deep down, I hoped. No, I ached for him to come back. And then, he did. It was Friday. I stayed late at the office, trying to finish reports I couldn't focus on. Everyone else had gone hours ago. The building was quiet, too quiet, until the elevator dinged. And then I heard footsteps. Slow, heavy, familiar. I didn't even turn around. "What are you doing here?" I asked, my voice barely steady. "I could ask you the same," Leo said from behind me. I finally turned and froze. He wasn't in his usual sharp suit. Just jeans, a fitted dark shirt, no tie, casual, confident, dangerous. His eyes met mine, and everything I'd tried to forget came rushing back. "I gave you space," he said, walking closer. But it was hell. My throat tightened.
"Leo, I couldn't sleep."
I couldn't focus. I couldn't stop thinking about you. He stopped just inches away, so I came back for you. I should have stepped back, but I didn't. His scent hit me first. Familiar, expensive, grounding. Then his fingers brushed mine, and every wall I'd built started to crack. "You said it was a mistake," he whispered. "Tell me to leave, and I will." I looked into his eyes and saw it. Not power, not ego, just want. Real, human, unfiltered. And I wanted to say no. But my heart leaned in before my mind could stop it. He kissed me. Not with hesitation, but with meaning. This time it wasn't about control. It was about connection. Every breath, every touch felt like trying to erase distance, to repair something broken. And I let him. Because the truth was, I'd been waiting. We left together, the city lights blurring outside as silence filled the car. By the time we reached his place, my pulse was a drum in my ears. He reached for my hand. I didn't pull away. It wasn't about passion anymore. It was about truth. Two people standing in the middle of something they both feared but couldn't ignore. Hours later, we lay there, quiet. No words, just the sound of our breathing, the hum of the city below. And then he said it, soft but certain. "I don't want to hide this anymore." I turned to him, stunned. "You mean us?" He nodded once. "I want you in my life, Aaron, not just behind closed doors." My heart stopped. Because I knew what that meant. And I wasn't sure I was ready. But deep down, I wanted it to. He looked at me, steady, unshaken, real. And for a moment, I believed him. Believed that this powerful man, my boss, truly meant it. "Are you saying you want to go public?" I whispered. He nodded again. "Yes, I'm done hiding. I want you, completely." That night, he held me closer than ever before. And for the first time, it didn't feel wrong. It felt real. We spent the night together. Not like before, not rushed or reckless, but slower, gentler, like he was learning who I was. And for the first time, it felt real. I let myself believe that maybe this could last, but reality doesn't stay kind for long, especially when secrets start to surface. Monday morning, I walked into the office pretending everything was normal, but I could feel it. The looks, the whispers, the quiet tension that hung in the air. Then I saw Vanessa, our HR director, waiting by my desk. "Mr. Cruz would like to see you," she said sharply. "Now." My stomach dropped. Inside Leo's office, he stood by the window, stiff and tense. When he turned around, I saw it in his eyes, and something was very wrong. "Someone found out," he said quietly. "They reported it anonymously." My chest tightened. "What? Who?" He sighed. "They know we've been close," I froze. "What happens now?" He looked torn, his voice calm but pained. "There's going to be an investigation. HR, legal, maybe even the board. You said we didn't have to hide, but I never expected it to reach this point so fast." I swallowed hard. "Are you going to deny it?" He didn't answer right away. Then softly, "If I admit it, I could lose everything." My voice shook. And me, what happens to me? His silence said enough. He wasn't choosing me. He was choosing his reputation, his company, his control. That night I went home shattered. He once told me he didn't want to hide anymore. But when it mattered most, he hid me. And suddenly, all those moments that felt like love now felt like a lesson. So, I made a choice. If Leo couldn't stand by me, then maybe it was time I stood for myself. 2 weeks passed. No messages. No late-night calls. I walked into work every day with my head high, even when I caught him watching me from across the room. And I gave him nothing back, not even a glance. Then one Friday night, I found something slipped under my apartment door. No envelope, just a single folded page written in his handwriting. I was wrong. I thought protecting you meant staying quiet, but I should have shouted your name from the rooftops. I lost you once, I won't do it again. Leo, I didn't respond. Not right away. Because sometimes love isn't proven with words. It's proven with courage. The following week, he stood before the entire boardroom, the company watching, the silence heavy. And he admitted everything. Yes, I had a relationship with an employee. Yes, it was consensual, and yes, I still love him. The room went silent. My heart nearly stopped. He stepped down from his role, giving up the throne he'd worked so hard for me. And in that moment, I realized this wasn't just passion. This wasn't just desire. This was real. That night he waited outside my building. Same spot where it had all begun, in the rain. No umbrella. Just soaked, shivering, as if the world would crumble if I didn't say something. I walked up slowly. For the first time, I let myself reach out. I pulled him close. "You idiot," I whispered, clutching his drenched shirt. "You didn't have to give up everything." "I didn't," he said softly. "I still have you." And there, in the rain with the city spinning around us, he kissed me. A kiss that wasn't just a moment, it was a promise. The kind of kiss that could end old stories or begin new ones. I never expected to fall for my boss. Never expected him to break me apart and rebuild me piece by piece, but he did. And if I had to do it all over again, I'd still let him touch my shoulder, my hand, my heart, because that night, he didn't just touch me. He touched my heart, too. The end.